And Austria is struggling to hold them back. I mean, there is a big flood of... Oh no, I just saw a para. I just saw a para. There he is. Italy is the paras. Ah. So they do. So yes, Italy does have 10 combat with paratroopers, so this probably was an Italian attack, which was then reinforced by the French. Although this actually looks like a lot of Italians. This was a lovely play by Italy. Well supported by their allies, unlike when Germany did the naval invasion of England, which was spectacular. It was a lovely naval invasion, but just wasn't followed up, and thus ultimately was defeated. So Burma has now completely disappeared. They've lost all of these units. Bit of a waste, seeing as that's a full army of 24, plus another 3. So that's 27 divisions there. We have got National France, Australasia beginning to arrive in big numbers. India's still trying to hold off the Russians. They're doing a good job against Russia, but that's not the problem. The problem is all of this. And there's another... No, they've defeated the naval invasion, so the naval invasion has been pushed back. India, have you been using your navy at all? You have. They've basically been wiped out. Don't know who by. Just lost another battleship. You're losing ships to submarines, but you're also killing a lot of submarines. It was probably underscreened, and then that battleship was lost, and then the screening's 100% now. Because that battleship's also taken a ton of damage. Yeah, received 2 critical hits. Critical hits are almost always torpedoes. So that's damage done by submarines. By the lovely unled Japanese Navy. I'm just going to double check something, because I'm pretty sure that Japan has admirals. Yeah, Japan has no shortage of admirals, and they're pretty good. He's just not using them. But yeah, the Siamese naval invasion was defeated, probably because of the influx of French and Canadian forces. While America was dealing with the invasion up here in the north. I don't think that America's quite got the situation under control, though. This is another big cutoff, which they are trying to punch through at the moment. That unit looks like it's going to give in. Trying to see if that tank's going to reinforce. Also, that's unguarded. So I don't think that this pocket's going to last. So maybe they'll stabilize, but they're now stabilized in a much more difficult position to defend. And against the overwhelming forces, it's just a matter of time. They'll grind them down. Meanwhile, Havana is being attacked by Chile. Havana is Reichspakt. So this is the Third International going for the international holdings of the Reichspakt in South Americas. What else? Let's take another look at Dalmatia. How is this fight going? Let's see this from France's perspective. Has anything happened up here? Not really. There is still a French armoured attack going into the hills. In... What town is this? Something Aibach. Maybach. How's Ukraine been doing this session? I haven't seen much from Ukraine. Ukraine is mostly concerned with holding back the Russian hordes. It looks like they've been given responsibility for the Eastern Front. And that does look to be the majority of their army. It's basically a field marshal line with the 2 armies in there. Although the Cyan are giving a much more wide front than the purples, even though the purples... Oh, they're split up. Okay, so there's actually half of the purples are active here, which is why that front is so much smaller. Fair enough. And then we've got Russians preparing against Sweden as well. Sweden mostly defending Finland at the moment, which is in the Reichspakt as well. And a notable lack of Finnish armies. Where's Finland's army? Not in Finland, that's for sure. Let's see. Any Bulgarian hordes anywhere else? Ethiopia. Whose side is Ethiopia on? Are they still neutral? They're still neutral. So Somalia could potentially go after Ethiopia. Or Middle Africa could potentially go after Ethiopia. Meanwhile, Egypt has been churning units out. Plus, we have the German garrison of Suez. Oh, that's Ljubljana. Gotcha. Is the Entente's fifth player Australasia or Sardinia? They're Australasia. Which is why I've looked a few times over here and noticed this, which is alarming. It's very alarming. But that's because Australasia's been lend-leasing like all of their equipment. As we saw earlier, 10,000 guns went out to the USA. So Australasia at this point is basically the Ireland of the Pacific. It's just an industry base. Did they push out of this pocket? It doesn't look like it, and that's actually since then been reinforced by Chinese infantry. And this pocket is also in the midst of being defeated. But it does look like they've managed to stabilize most of the line. They still have rivers here which they can use as defense. They've just lost the Himalayas, which is a big deal. And it looks like India is continuing to push against the Russians. So pound for pound, the Indian infantry is stronger. In fact, those look like they might potentially be specialist Indian units, probably with really heavy firepower. Yeah. 365 soft attack, 40 combat width. Those are big units. And they're probably being given guns by Australasia. Although they're out of fuel, but I don't think that'll matter so much for them. Unless Air Force. I mean, that's the other thing we should probably take a look at, is they have overwhelmingly lost air superiority. Doesn't even look like they're trying. No, there's no airplanes here whatsoever. Where's the USAF? There's a couple in southern India. 500 Canadian fighters. And then 2,400 combined Japanese. Okay, it looks like Japan's the air controller. Yeah. So, complete air superiority in northern India, which is where all the main fighting is going on. How's the air situation in the war between these two? Because for a long time, Britain was absolutely dominating Germany in the air. Where's their air now? It's not over Germany anymore. Not seeing it. Maybe it's been... It's probably been grounded so that they can regain some fuel. Meanwhile, Havana being defeated by the... who was this again? Chile. Chile's taken out Havana. There it goes. Cuba's gone. So now the Third International have a staging ground. 2 staging grounds. For going after the USA. And it does look like Mexico is gearing up for that. The USA have got no garrisons on the Mexican border whatsoever. So they probably could leave that up to the US, to Mexico to just take them out. I mean, the USA is probably capable of pumping out a lot of troops very quickly, but they still won't be on a massively war footing. Is that true? No, that's probably not true because of the Civil War. USA does tend to militarize more quickly than vanilla. Oh, was I naval map mode? So used to seeing... Ah, I was. Okay, the air battle is still raging over southern Germany. That would explain why there were no aircraft at sea. And why I was seeing the naval superiority. I did look at that going, why is this telling me naval superiority? Okay, that makes more sense. So yes, the Third International, dominant in the skies. So their policy of trying to build up the air force has definitely paid off. Are these guys even trying? I mean, they've got 300 planes here, so that's a no. So it does look like the Reichspakt have basically given up in the sky, and that's going to be giving a humongous advantage to the Third Internationale. So I think what I'm kind of leaning towards now is probably Co-Prosperity first, Third Internationale second. If the Third Internationale manages to take down the Reichspakt and take all of the industry from that, then they might be able to form a resistance against Co-Prosperity, especially if Co-Prop doesn't manage to invade the Americas. I'm still not convinced that they are going to stop that, though. And if I was Japan right now, I'd be devising naval invasions left, right, and centre. Which is why I'm not looking at Japan. See what they did. They took a screenshot of the peace deal in case the game crashed. That's smart. So I'm just double checking the Discord to make sure there are no messages for me. There aren't. Yeah, Third Internationale has been pretty quiet. I was terrified for them after Union of Britain came so close to falling. But they seem to be doing pretty well. I think that Germany's reluctance to get involved elsewhere and then that massively failed naval invasion has pushed them back quite a bit. Germany's industry is still bigger, but is it bigger overall? Yeah, they've got about 100 factories, 150 factories on the CNT FAI. So given a war of attrition, they would probably win it. Oh, so they have so many countries on their side. Crikey. Which also means that the manpower is going to be on their side. They've got 500 divisions. Third Internationale's got maybe 400, possibly 5. Probably about 450. So they outnumber them by about 100 divisions as well. But that Air Force is so overwhelming. And then the poor old Entente. Although I have to say, I am very impressed by the push here. The Russians don't really seem to have an answer to these 40 combat with Indian units. And the Indians are using battle plans, they are using planning preparation. They are sitting at 100% command power, so they probably just attack rather than attack, wait for a second, attack again. I mean, both have merit, so I'm not really going to criticize that. The attacks here in the north definitely do seem to have stabilized. We are seeing some more of the 10 combat with Indian units defending along this line. Most of the backline Burma units are dead. I think it was a big mistake not transferring those guys out. That's 24 units that they could have used on this front. And I'm just kind of waiting for the Russian tanks to get their act together and push again. And it does look like the tanks right now are being microed. They have no planning preparation. That's another 49% attack bonus you could be using. I don't understand why players don't use battle plans more. I get it. Micro is super strong. I'm not denying that. But when you have this much command power, just build a front line, wait for a day, maybe two, to build up planning preparation in combination with the staff office plan. It's so cheap, especially when you've only got like 6 units. Hey, Wrangle. Where's your commander? It's this guy. It would cost them 17 points of command power to do a command preparation, and it would mean that these tanks have another 49% attack strength. That's a big deal when you're trying to punch through. Although, if you're just like cleaning up pockets, it doesn't matter as much. So I'm going to be curious if they try to do a preparation for the next assault and try and get a breakthrough. Where do I expect that to occur? Probably right here. Just try and drive for the coast of Gujarat. Cut India in half. Knock out the Persian successes with that. Now the problem that India is going to be running into is supply. I'm guessing that they are already having issues with supply here, because 40 combat width are really heavy. They're taking the mountain attrition. They're not taking supply attrition yet, which is kind of interesting. Actually, supply is fine. The other question is, how is the supply out here for the Russians? It's not letting me switch. Come on. Thank you. Because I remember having real problems crossing these Russian steppes because supply tends to be terror bad. And Russia has not, I think, been upgrading the infrastructure. Oh, no, maybe they have. Very slightly, possibly upgraded the infrastructure here to maintain bigger armies. Which might actually benefit India if India keeps pushing. Because one of the things that Russia can do is, because of the lack of supply here, they can basically just drain enemy reserves and drain their ability to fight. Who are the leaders in the world? If you type !players, then you will get a list of all the players in the game right now and which nations they're playing. India was the MVP for the Entente yesterday already, but they're really pulling their weight. Yeah, India's genuinely done well. Like, India's probably the one really good player for the Entente. And India really was their possible key for success. I was not expecting them to be doing this well against Russia. That is a surprise. I mean, the benefit that India has is this is the only front line in that war. Canada and the USA are safe for now, but we might well see some Japanese naval invasions. I'm just going to zoom in really close so I don't see anything spoilery. And I just want to see what their navy is doing. And whether they've actually started to... Yay! Admirals! Woohoo! Japan's finally realised. So Japan's got submarines active over here where they don't have naval superiority. So there is clearly a heavy Entente naval presence. They have also got a second wave who's trying to block off Australasia. They do have their recon fleets still reconning over 2 areas. And then they have escorts. Where are the escorts? Also in those 2. So I think they were probably being hit by submarines there. We do have naval battles going on. Sinking convoys. Unfortunately, I still have the convoy bug. So I can't see how many convoys are actually being sunk, but it's a lot. Like, there's actually lists and lists here. This is me right-clicking, I'm dismissing all of these. Oh no, the dismiss isn't working. Never mind. But clearly somebody has got a big naval presence over there. Let's take a look at the USA. Do you have one? USA has no Pacific fleets whatsoever. The entire US Navy is currently a mess. They've lost their navy. It's... wow. See, this is why you deploy ships properly. The United States has 119 ships left. That's it. Canada? Please, please. No. Alright, so who the hell is fighting Japan? Australasia? Is this a naval Australasia? Is that why they're out of manpower? It's a naval Australasia, who have the same naval philosophy as the USA does. But at least their fleets are properly screened. Kind of. But they're all just on convoy raid. So it's just a matter of time before they get sunk. So right now, despite Japan's initial weakness at sea, I think Japan will win that naval war. They're crushing America's. Who else is on the Entente side? Oh, France. France has a navy. It's not doing anything though. It's just sat in port. That guy is like the very definition of a sea dog. Big white bushy beard. Captain's hat. That's definitely like the very definition of a salty sea dog right there. I like it. What's his name? Lucien Lacaze. Cool. Oh, here comes the Russians. The Russians are barreling through. Let's switch over to Russia and see their tanks go. Did they do any planning prep? They didn't. They also have traits available for their leader. Nothing important. Attack 4. They are Panzer Expert and Panzer Leader, and they are just driving through. Are these heavy tanks? These are Russian heavy tanks. Very nice. Logistics, because heavy tanks are going to need it. Light armored recon, which just boosts their armor capabilities even further. Signal companies, which means they have the initiative. The one thing which these guys are probably lacking a little bit is speed. But who cares when you have that kind of punching power? 40 combat with 106 soft attack, which is less than the French ones. Why is the armor 0? Organization is 33, which is also higher. Oh, there we go, 87. Yeah, these guys are going to be very tough to stop once they get going. I mean, their max speed is only 5.6, which is 1.6 kilometers faster than infantry. So they are very slow. But, oh boy, just try and get in their way. And it looks like we've got Siamese light tanks who are actually doing the clearing. So the Russians basically make the breakthrough, and then Siam comes in with these light units. Oh, medium units. And actually take territory. And these medium units probably also have a really good breakthrough. 40 combat width, organization 28. I generally wouldn't suggest going below 30. 384 soft attack though, 507 breakthrough, decent armor, 43. They don't really have any stopping power against other tanks, so a heavy tank division would stop this in its tracks, especially with tank destroyers. So like the French tanks would do pretty well against this. But yeah, I like that. And I like the fact that they're working together. You got the Russians who make the breakthrough, and then the Siamese who exploit it. And there we go. I was exactly right. My prediction correct. Cutting India in half from the position where I thought they'd attack to where I thought they would attack. And India is now definitely in trouble, especially because there is a large number of French and Canadian and Indian divisions trapped there, especially Canadian ones. Meanwhile, the Indian advance does continue, but I think this is a waste. I think that India needed to try and maintain their front line and then attack. I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish with this. Like, Moscow is so freaking far away. You really think you were going to take Moscow before these guys break through and take India? Especially seeing as you lost the Himalayas? Questionable. How's Germany doing? Let's take a look. No real changes on that front. I think that this has effectively become a stalemate war. Although Germany is out of convoys. Getting a lot of Lend-Lease from somewhere, and probably denying Lend-Leases too. In Italy has loads, France has loads, Britain, as always, is out, but Britain's been getting loads. They got 450, so they've been given convoys, I think, mostly by the Italians. So it definitely looks like we're seeing a naval Italy here. Although they have now docked all of their ships. But Austria has lost their coastline, so I wonder where the Austrian fleet is. Because the Austrians were doing work, now the Austrian fleet's dead. Probably because they had nowhere to repair, so they could have gone to Bulgarian... in fact, they could have gone to Bulgaria, which is basically the entirety of the Middle East. And I'm... Third International doesn't have any countries in Africa, so that's not really going to be doing anything there. And then, yeah, Cuba was already taken. So not a huge amount going on, but whoa, that's a lot of different countries. This is the downside for having about 50 countries in your faction, is the unit stacks tend to get kind of tall. Does the USA have any tanks? One. Heavy tanks and heavy tank destroyers. This is the kind of template you want to fight against the Russian template. I do approve. Organization 42, that's excellent. That's actually really strong for such a heavy tank division. Crikey, breakthrough of 700. Armor is a bit lower than the Russian armor, but they have the piercing to break through. 77 piercing though, I don't think that's actually enough. Weren't the Russians at 80 something? Armor? 87. They can't actually pierce, even with that many tank destroyers. Which would suggest to me that the American tank destroyers aren't upgraded. Whoa, shoot. Can't look at that, sorry. Can't look at that either. That one I can look at. It was this one I'm not allowed to look at, and I didn't click on it. Which also means I can't show you how modern their tanks are. Sorry. Not allowed. Really rooting for Russia, Japan and China. Yeah, I think that this game is in the bag for them now. India was really the only possible obstacle, and now that they're going to be taking Indian manpower and industry, it's going to be difficult to face this. It's basically, this is now the co-pro. Versus the Reichspakt, which is basically this, and then the Third International, which is this. Reichspakt are probably... I was going to say the only ones that could really fight against it, but considering how they're doing against Third International, I'm not sure that's true. The thing I'm interested in is where are the French tanks going to go to next? Have we lost music again? No, it's just very quiet.